As an initiator, KO will always be required to engage and start fights, and the best way to do that is with his fragment ability. The ability can be thrown from a fair distance away though, so if you know some good lineups, you can throw your ability and start fights from a safe distance. And that's where we step in. In this guide, we're going to show you all the best lineups that you need to know on bind for KO, both for attacking and defending the spike sites. Enjoy! We'll start as we always do with the attacking side lineups, and this one is for using in a post-plant situation. The blind is pretty simple to execute, and it's very good for initiating onto enemies holding the common angles on A site. Throw the flash drive anywhere in this area, blinding any enemies and allowing your team to peek and kill, or at least push up and gain control of A cubby. And as you can see, it will be guaranteed to blind any enemies looking down A cubby into A shore, as well as enemies covering heaven looking into A showers. Okay, now let's look at another few that we can throw to cover A site. The first can be thrown from A shore. KO just needs to peek and throw the 0 point above the two boxes at the end of A cubby, as seen here. This will suppress all enemies in A lamps on the front side of A site and behind the truck on A site. It will likely get shot down after one cast of suppression, but you will gather good intel nonetheless. And this second one is for throwing through A showers. This one is a lot safer to do, as KO needs to expose himself far less. Throw the 0 point over the boxes onto the wall for the same effect and suppression range as the previous lineup. Okay, now let's take a look at an A site fragment to cover the truck plant. This lineup is designed to stop enemies defusing the spike after you and your team have planted. This also allows you to play safely and away from the site, meaning you should have enough time to escape, then go and stand in this corner in A shore after planting the spike. You need to aim right in the corner of where these leaves meet. Now fire. This is where the fragment will land, perfect for denying the defuse. Here's another lineup for the post plant, but this time to cover A site boxes. Angle the crosshair upwards and put it just in the gap in the corner where the nearest antenna ends. If you've correctly lined up the fragment, it should land like this and damage anyone near the spike you have planted. Just make sure you don't die before the spike is planted, so you can pull this one off and look like a genius. Right, now let's head on over to the B site, and we'll start with one to blind elbow and back sight. Stand in the corner boxes next to the teleporter, making sure that your back is touching the boxes. After throwing, the flash drive will explode just over and in front of the buildings on the left-hand side, which will blind anyone playing at the backside of B, and anyone playing in B elbow. This is a really effective flash, as it allows you to cover the teleporters in case an enemy pushes through, as well as still initiating for your team. Okay, and here's another one for covering B window. Throw it about head height into the very corner of this wall. The 0 point will cover everywhere except that far corner in B window, alerting you to any enemies lurking there, as well as behind the wooden boxes just outside of the teleporter. For our next few lineups, we'll take a look at some good post-plant throws onto the B site. The first one is for covering the B site boxes. This lineup is for the most common planting site at B, so hopefully your team will always plant here without you having to set it up yourself. On B long, locate this rock and stand on it, touching the blue wall, and aim up. Then, place your crosshair in between the wires where they connect to meet the metal cylindrical shape on the wall on your right. Now throw the fragment. It's going to land like this, covering the popular spike site as well as behind the two green stacked boxes and the tube on B site. But what if enemies are pushing in more slowly and are still rotating from showers? What can you try then? Well, this is a little difficult, but we've got one. This 0 point lineup requires you to stand in the corner of the plant area on A site next to the truck and boxes. You want to line up your null command icon with the very top of the antenna you can see in the background and fire. If thrown correctly, it should land just in this hole in A shower's roof about 5 seconds later. As we said, this is a very hard lineup to learn, so make sure you go into some practice games to try and master it. And speaking of hard lineups, we'll end with another very difficult but very effective one. This is a 0 point lineup for B short. From B site, line up the corner of the flashpoint second cast bar with the left corner of the stone pillar on top of this building and throw. This is one of the harder lineups because it requires a lot more fine tuning, as one small miscalculation and the dagger will no longer be indestructible. This is where the 0 point should land, on top of the roof. If the lineup was done correctly, it will suppress all of those in B short, including around teleporter and the connector to B long. It will help you to establish whether enemies are pushing through B short and B window or from somewhere else. Perfect. Okay gang, and that does it for today's best lineup videos. This was the very best of KO on Bind, but if we forgot any classics, then let us know down in the comments. And if you're feeling generous, pop us a like and subscribe down below. Until next time.